Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot. I assume Tom.
Anthony Campos, congratulations. Season 14, King of the Hill. Here we go, man. 20 years later since Idiocracy, and now we're back with King of the Hill.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
What's it like to be immortalized as a cartoon where you get to see yourself, being drawn on screen?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a trip, man. It was weird when I saw that when I saw the character for the first time, and I didn't see the character actually till the last recording session we had. So when I saw that, when they put it up on the screen, they go, yeah, that's your character. And I was just like, yeah, I was just stunned for a little bit. I was just looking at it. I couldn't stop staring. I was just like tripping out, man. But I go, hey, man, I told Mike, hey, good looking out, man. At least now it'll be easy for people to spot me on the streets, man.
Right. You're like, did you really get that lazy that you just had to draw me?
Yeah, no, he was just like, man, he goes, we had to do it, man.
Well, the cool thing with Emilio is that he's Bobby's sous chef. Bobby's in Dallas now. We're not giving anything past the spoilers away. I've got to see the entire season already. And so it's fun. It picks up where we left off just about, 10, 15 years later. When you come into a show like this that had such a legacy before, and now you're part of it where we pick up, all this time later and working with Bobby, and you're kind of his voice of reason as the sous chef. What's it like being a part of the family now? Do you feel like you married in, or do you feel like, you've been there all along because you've known Mike for so long?
A little bit of both, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt already, comfortable because I knew Mike and I knew some of the producers already from past projects that we worked on, But at the same time, I'm coming in as a new cast member. I had done one voiceover on King of the Hill back in like 2005. I can't remember what season was it, but it was back in 2005. It was just quick little scene I did, and a random character. But now I have a recurring role, so it's like now I feel like okay, now I'm really like 100% part of the family, because you're sitting there with a bunch of legendary actors, and they're, voice actors and so it was just kind of surreal when we were doing the first table read, to be sitting there.
Yeah. The season 14 is a little bit bittersweet because we got John Redcorn back, and then we just lost Jonathan Joss about a month and a half ago, or almost 2 months ago. Like the excitement's there because it premieres on August 4th, but it's also like we can't share the excitement with John anymore. Like, how do we find the balance of still being able to enjoy the show and John not being with us?
I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. Rest in peace to Johnny. And it's just like, man, I got to meet him a couple of times, man. Great dude, and it's just like when I first heard about it, I was just like, damn, like what's gonna happen now? That was my first reaction, like, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot, people could, do the voices or whatever, but sometimes it's not easy to replace the energy, that he brought, And so, man, it was just like it was heartbreaking, man. But I look at it like at this point, man, is like I know he would want the show to go on, like without him, obviously, and the best bet is to just enjoy his character, man. Yeah. Enjoy his character, because at the end of the day, he brought that character to life, and I know Toby's doing a good job, and everything, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, the energy's still there. You can feel the energy, the energy's the same, so that hasn't changed. So I'm sure people, the fans are going to enjoy it. They're still going to enjoy it, and just, in his honor, man, and in his honor, let's keep watching.
Yeah. The exciting part with coming back to a show like this, Hank was in Saudi Arabia, now he's back in America. Texas doesn't look like the Texas he left behind. But Mike Judge has never been able to shy away from political commentary, making fun of both sides and the worldview of like how it shifts. When you get to see that, because, when the original King of the Hill aired, we had to find the balance of, Hank trying to figure out where he belongs in a modern world. And here he is coming back. But now we got to figure out his balance with Bobby and his relationships improving with Bobby, because Bobby's a grown up. It's not like this little weird kid anymore. Yeah. What's it like to watch it go from an audience member to now being a part of the show, because you're on the inside now?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a surreal feeling, to be part of this family, and just with legendary show and legendary cast, So to me, it's a huge opportunity, and man, is to see the dynamic between Bobby and Hank now.
Mhm.
Because we were used to see him as a kid, as a
Right.
youngster, teenager, and all that, and I'll be honest with you, man, his their dynamic reminds me of me and my son. It's kind of like on the same, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like we're always, bickering at each other, but at the same time, we're always there as family trying to help each other,
Right.
and you're gonna see a lot of they're in competition with each other sometimes, and sometimes everything is all great, sometimes it isn't, but that's just the way family is, so I got to read all the scripts, before obviously before we even recorded them, and when I was reading all the scripts, I was already visioning, the stories the way they were gonna go, and I was just like, man, this is gonna work. This is gonna be dope. I think the fans are in for a treat. It's gonna pick up where it left off, and all the years of people wondering whatever happened to Bobby, what happened to Hank, and Peggy, and all that, everything is gonna come to light. And one of the other things I love about Mike, he's not afraid on touching on everyday subjects that are going on in real life. He's like he's not afraid. You know what I'm saying? He'll touch on it. He's not mocking stuff, but he's bringing it to light. Everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah. And that's the great part about this show, and especially, season 14 coming out. I'm going to give only one spoiler in this regard. So Kathy Najimy and I are both Lebanese, and it was hilarious in when she got picked up by the Saudi Uber driver, and she's trying to talk to him in Arabic, and he doesn't understand a word. And I know Kathy speaks Arabic very well because we've had an interaction, and so her having to switch into like a really bad broken Arabic accent just made it so much funnier for those of us that like kind of are in the know. When you get to do something like that and like, you know, playing Emilio. So I'll give an example. Like I just got back from the San Antonio Film Festival. And a lot of like the Mexicans in San Antonio don't speak Spanish because they've been there like 9 generations.
Yeah.
Like the border crossed them 6 times literally. You know, like is there always that moment where they want to do something like that where like, okay, Anthony, we know you speak Spanish, but like, can you make it broken Spanish like you don't really speak the language and you're trying to learn?
You know what? Honestly, I haven't had that. I haven't had that happen yet, and it's on the contrary, it's like there's been a couple of liners in there where they wanted me to do straight Spanish, like like because they know I speak Spanish too, so they'll be like, "Hey, is there any way you can do a couple of liners on this part right here? Just do it just straight Spanish?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." But yeah, I haven't had that yet. But I have seen other actors that have had to do that, and it's funny, because that's not, they can speak the language really good, but to be able to do it like they're acting, and doing break and broken whatever the language they got to do. It's funny.
Well, like the show itself, like right now, you're Bobby's sous chef, and he found this interesting fusion between Japanese and German food. Like, is there
Yeah.
anything that like you guys are reading the script and going, maybe we should actually try and make this recipe in real life?
You know what? I haven't thought about it, man. But now that you brought that up, I was like, I'm gonna look up some of those recipes, man,
Yeah.
and really do it. I remember when we had the rap party for the King of the Hill. Um, some of the stuff that they served was like the stuff they were serving in the show. So I was
That's
like,
awesome.
oh man, this is good.
Now we're gonna get the Bobby Hill companion cookbook for the series.
Yeah, man, that would be great, man. Yeah, they did bring out the cookbook.
The beautiful thing with this show is that it's multiracial. Like I don't like to focus on the race thing very much, but like because that's a big hot button topic now. But like you're Latino, we got Con and Connie who are Laotian. Kathy's Lebanese, but she plays a white lady on the show. We had John Redcorn who was Native American, and it wasn't like forced. It was just natural conversations. And if you didn't understand something about somebody's culture, you try to ask questions like early on, when Khan moves in and Hank is asking him, are you Chinese or Japanese? And he's like, I'm Laotian, and doesn't really understand, Southeast Asian comparison. And like the explanation coming, like it wasn't a place of like racism, it was a place of like trying to figure out how it
Yeah,
balanced.
trying to figure it out.
And that's what's also great about coming back is because we're trying to figure out that balance of now where do we belong, coming from multiple generations back.
Yeah,
You know, does that seem something that like people are going to also take notice of? Because, we're still, yes, we're talking about those topics, but it's
yeah.
not the focal point.
I mean, that's one thing about Mike. He's always used pretty much everybody in all his projects. He's like really diverse. Like he likes that. Because if you look at it in reality, that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
You look around you, you see people from all walks of life. From all over the world and that's what Mike likes to focus on because he knows that's relatable to everybody. And I think that's why King of the Hill is also and the majority of his projects have always been big hits because he makes it relatable to everyday people, man.
Well, let's be honest. If not Mike, we would have never gotten the red stapler from
Right?
Office Space.
Yeah, that was a classic right there too,
Yeah.
man.
All right. Since you were in Idiocracy, I do have to ask this. Are we going to slip in any Brando references into season 15?
Into the King of the Hill, or
Yeah, into like, hey, we got this brand new product called Brando. Maybe we should try it and serve it in the restaurant type
you
deal.
know, I don't see that happening, but that would have been great. That would have been great if they would have brought that back in.
Yeah.
But you
Well,
never know. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, King of the Hill is just barely getting started again, so you never know down the line.
right. The excitement was there in San Diego Comic-Con for the show coming back. It's coming to Hulu on August 4th. Eventually, it's probably going to end up on FX, after it's done its first run.
Yep.
When you get to hear people talking like, "Oh my God, Anthony, you're part of King of the Hill," like the show's coming back, like, do you hear like excitement or worry? Because sometimes when they bring a show back, people get really worried. Is it going to match? But since I've seen it, I can tell you, it's in line where we would have been if the show had continued all those years. So, like, what's the reaction been when you tell people you're a part of the show now?
So far, everybody's been excited. So far, everybody's been excited about it, man. Everybody's happy for me. Like all the people that follow me on Instagram, and social media. Everybody's like really excited to see it. Like they're really looking forward to it. And yeah, I haven't had nobody like worried about it. Like, oh, what do you think? Make things gonna be all right? Is it gonna do good? Nah, everybody's like really excited to see it. And yeah, I'll be honest. To this day, I'm barely finding out how big the cult following that King of the Hill has. Because my judge, all his projects, they have a cult following.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how huge King of the Hill really was, the following until now that I'm a part of it, like 100%, and man, it's amazing, man. The fans, man, they're amazing, and I'm starting to get a lot of love from fans that didn't follow me before. They're starting to follow me, and they go, "Hey, man," they sending me messages. They're looking forward to seeing my character in here, man.
All right, so I'm going to put it like this: Comic-Con just happened in San Diego. People love to cosplay. What does an Emilio and Bobby Hill cosplay look like if like people run into you at a convention?
Man, I don't know, man. That'll be a good. I don't know what it would look like, man, but I'm sure it'll be funny, man. Because Bobby, he's just a character, man. So man, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess we would look like the dynamic duo of cooking. I guess I don't know, man.
Someone just
Couple
brings in
aprons and
like
some
a sushi
capes.
table. They bring in like a sushi table with them and start making rolls.
Yeah, like Batman and Robin.
There you go,
But
man.
with aprons on.
So, when I was looking through the notes, I didn't get a clarification. Do all 10 episodes drop at once, or are we going to get them weekly?
No, they're gonna drop all at once. Yeah, August 4th, all 10 episodes. They just.
All 10 episodes drop August 4th, so by August 5th, we're already anticipating when season 15 coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anthony, man, it's been a great pleasure chatting with you. Where can we find you on social media if we want to connect with you and keep the conversation going about King of the Hill season 14?
Just basically, all my handles are at Big Citric, BigCitric, or you can just, hit Anthony Citric Campos or Anthony Campos, and it'll come up. Yeah,
Anthony,
I'm
man,
not,
I
I'm not,
can't.
the, I'm not the hard to find.
I hope we get to do season 15 in person next year. It's always fun talking to you. Thank you so much. And, again, August 4th on Hulu, King of the Hill season 14, all 10 episodes drop. That just means, like I said, August 5th, we're going to be craving season 15.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man.